Hi my loves, welcome back or welcome to my channel. Welcome if you guys are new. I think the last time I did this video was like well over a year ago, and since then we have completed and started a bunch of new series. So I thought it was finally time to update my series tracker and kind of go through and decide whether I'm going to be continuing or DNFing every single series I'm currently reading. Now to me there's like two categories for this, because there's the series that I'm currently in the middle of that are completely published, or that I'm in the middle of and I have a lot more books to go and not up to date with the amount of books published in that series. And then there are the series that are still getting published and I'm currently up to date in every book that is out. So I'm going to go through both of those categories and go through the ones that I am going to continue and basically can continue immediately because I've still got like numerous books in that series to go to get up to date with. Some are completed already, and then also go through the ones that are still getting published and I'm still up to date, but just decide whether I'm going to continue with them once they get published, whether they're just still on my radar or whether I've moved on, because I've been recently discovering that my reading taste is really changing. Definitely I'm liking different things that I wouldn't usually. So in saying that, I have my little series tracker here. We're going to be going through and basically marking off each series. So I'm going to do continue, finish, or DNF, and I will just, mark each one of them so I know what I have. Also, this is going to be really helpful when I do like finishing every series I'm reading vlogs, like reading vlogs, because then I can just go to this page and look, because sometimes I just stare at my bookshelf and I'm like, what am I reading at the moment? So I just went through my entire Fable and then my bookshelves as well. So we have a big stack here, but what we also do is we have another one. We have an entire stack right there. So plenty to talk about, plenty to get through. So without me rambling on anymore, I think we should just get started. I'm going to start with this pile over here and then make my way over here. So first of all, the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. For a long time, I was like extremely torn on this series and just really unsure of whether I wanted to continue it because I don't love the first book, and I've been very vocal about that. I even did a reread recently, like via audiobook. Still didn't love it. But I have high hopes in the rest of the series, and I recently purchased the rest of the series. So it is a very easy assumption for me to say that I will be continuing it. I'm definitely going to read the first 3 books. Look, I will be very surprised if I read the first 3 books in this series and I'm not obsessed with it. Like, I will be shocked, purely because so many people I have extremely similar taste to absolutely love this series. It is their everything series. Yeah, I would be very, very surprised if I didn't like it. I think there are 5 books out in this series at the moment. We kind of have like phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 2 are the first 3. The next 2 are already published, but we're waiting on the 3rd, I'm pretty sure. So I've still got plenty to play catch up with. I need to get through these ASAP. But yeah, this one I will be continuing. So we can mark that off on our little reading journal. The next one is the Beartown series. Now I only have 1 book left in the series. It is a trilogy by Frederick Backman. If you haven't heard of it, I didn't give a blurb for Red Rising. I probably won't for a lot of these because I talk about these all the time and I'm sure you've heard of them. If they're not as well known or I don't talk about them very much, I will let you know. Beartown by Frederick Backman. I read the first 2 books in this. I do need to read the winners, and I definitely want to read the winners. It's just I know that every time I go into a Frederick Backman book, I've got to be pretty emotionally stable. I've got to be prepared for some heartbreak. The topics he writes about, I'm extremely sensitive to, and I think they're really worth reading about, but like you definitely have to go in when you're emotionally stable. So I've just got 1 more book to go in this. So we'll definitely be continuing it, definitely be finishing it, and hopefully we'll do that soon. All right, the mightiest series I'm currently reading is of course Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I have read 3 books in this series and 2 novellas, so we are deep into this world. I am loving the Stormlight Archive. I love it so much. My next one in this is Rhythm of War, which I'm a little bit scared to go into, but we just have 2 more books. So Rhythm of War, and I can't remember the last name of this book. Oh my god, I'm having a blank. But we've got 2 more books in this journey, even though they're both like over 1,300 pages. So they're definitely commitments, but I love our characters so much in this series. I literally would do anything for any of these characters. Well, most of these characters. I love Brandon Sanderson's writing, the worlds he creates. They're so magical and so political. I'm obsessed. Definitely need to continue my journey with this one soon. I'm just a little bit nervous to go into Rhythm of War, which I think is fair enough, but I do plan to go into it at the end of the month. So hopefully that happens. This one I don't talk about very much, and I truly don't know why, because I love Rebecca Ross as a writer. This is the Reverend Chanted Duology. I think the next book is A Fire Endless. I do need to continue this. I need to get to the next one. I actually remember this one really, really well. It's just such a whimsical, vivid world in my mind. Basically, we are following our protagonist Jack, and he returns to this kind of magical island where he grew up because young girls have been going missing. It is a very, like, spirits play a really big role in this. It is a very whimsical whimsical, kind of haunting atmosphere, but I loved it. It was so good. I don't know why. No, actually the only reason I haven't continued this series is because I don't have the second book physically. And so every time I go to like pick up another book, I completely forget about it. It's just one that like I want to continue, but it didn't have such a big impact on me that like I'm thinking about it all the time. It's only a duology. I have one more book to go, so I definitely want to continue this one as well. This one is our first of the series I'm currently up to date with, but are continuing. Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. So this is connected to the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, if you've read that, which if you haven't, please pick it up. It is like one of the best series I've ever read. I feel like I talk about this all the time, but we are following Kel, set in a world with London where there are different realities of London, and Kel is one of the few people who can travel between those realities. One of the best magical worlds I've ever read about. Again, these characters would do absolutely anything for them. Until like a year ago, I thought Fragile Threads of Power was kind of just like a book that you'd read for like bonus material on our characters. Little did I know it's actually the start to an entirely new series. So I cannot wait to be continuing this. I think V.E. Schwab is currently writing the next one in this series, so we will be getting it at some point soon. I need to remember to do some that I don't have physically. So number one, the Shield of Sparrows. I don't know what this series is called as a whole, but I do know the second book came out. I think it's going to be a trilogy. Look, this one was definitely very conflicting for me because I didn't love the first book. I just thought it was kind of your classic generic fantasy book. Kind of liked our characters, but again, wasn't super connected to them. So I'm not like super intrigued to see what happens. And I also guessed a lot of the plot twists that I feel like really make this book. So this one was a little bit conflicting for me, and I've kind of thought long and hard about whether I want to actually continue this series. The answer is yes, I'm going to continue to the second one, but if I don't like the second one, I'm not going to continue it. I've just seen raving reviews about the second one, people saying that it's like a 6-star read for them. And then I said that in my recent video and in my comments, everything I said that I wanted more of in Shields of Sparrows. So more magic, more world building, just more depth and more richness to our world. I felt like we were very surface level. Apparently you get that in the second book. I think it's called Rites of Starling. You guys said that it's a good series to continue. So yeah, I think we will be. The next one that I actually recently picked up is a kind of a newer edition is The Poppy Ball by R.F. Kuang. Again, a trilogy. I have read the first 2 books in this series and was absolutely emotionally distraught over both of them. And yes, I will be continuing to the third one. However, I am a little bit nervous to go on to the third one because I know it's going to destroy me. And I don't know when the best time will be to continue to that one. I know I'm going to have to be emotionally stable. If you don't know what this series is about, it is a historical fantasy series. We are basically based off the Opium Wars. And we are following Rin, who is initially a training to become a soldier. We're set in a very war-torn world and we do deal with a lot of really sensitive topics. We have war crimes and everything going on, so please know that before going in and look it up. I definitely took trigger warning seriously and I'm glad I did for this one, but yeah, I would definitely be continuing it. The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. Now this is a YA fantasy and the second one just came out to this one. I'm a little bit confused with this one because I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, but again, it was nothing incredibly standy-outy to me. If you like the selection, I feel like you'll really enjoy this one. And I kind of liked the whole first one because of the setting, which essentially is we are following high society girls and they are competing in a season, except in this world, you can make a bargain with the queen to lose one of your qualities to gain another. So like you might lose your fingernails and gain a beautiful singing voice or gain beautiful hair or something like that. You have to give up something to get something else. So I found that aspect really interesting and that was kind of the part I loved most about it. And obviously that's over by the end of this book, so I'm not sure if I want to continue or not. It's also one of those books that like if I had it on my shelf, I'd probably pick it up and continue, and I think it'd be a really great like in-betweener brain break, but I don't know that I want to like seek out the second book and yeah, find it and read it. So maybe it'll be one that I just pick up on my Kindle one day. I'm not like super intrigued about it at the moment. Some of you might be like incredibly disappointed with me, but the Book of Azrael, this is Gods and Monsters. I actually enjoyed this, okay? When I read it, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It kind of gives vampire romantasy vibes. I just don't think I'm going to enjoy the rest of the series. It was a little bit dark for me. It wasn't as dark as I expected, but it is like a dark fantasy romance. And I have just been putting it off and putting off and putting off the next 2 books in this series. And I truly don't think it's one that I want to continue. I also just don't remember what happened very well in this one because I read it over a year or 2 ago now. So I just kind of am like, I don't know if I remember enough to want to continue this. I remember enjoying it in the moment. It's a really fun romantasy, but again, there were some darker aspects and I've heard that the series just gets darker and darker. Like I almost want to leave it at this book and leave my memories and like happy fun time in this book rather than get too traumatized by the rest of the series, because that has happened to me before. I think I'm just trying to be a little bit more brutal and be realistic, and and I don't realistically see myself continuing this anytime soon. This one is really conflicting for me because this is the Dream Harbor series, and it is conflicting because the publishers were like so incredibly kind and they sent me the entire series, and I like love them for that, and I'm so grateful for it. And I've read 2 books in this series. The thing that like deters me from these is that they're unusually spicy. Like you look at that cover and you're like, nah, that's fine, right? No, they're really spicy and they just keep getting spicier. I've read, 2 of these. I actually love like the small town romance vibe. I think they're really good to like sit down and read in a night. They also just have like the cutest covers in the entire world. So I do have the entire series still on my bookshelf. I'm leaving it on my bookshelf, but I'm not actively reading this series, if you know what I mean. I keep saying every year, I'm like, oh, the next one is like a Christmas one, so I'll just pick it up around the Christmas period. I still haven't. Maybe this year will be the year, but they're just such sweet covers. And like when I get gifted books, I find it really hard to unhaul. The next one is a case of I am up to date because this is Silver Cloak. Oops, I'm holding it upside down, by L.K. Stephen. And the next one does come out this year, which I'm really excited about. I thought this was a great start to a new series, a start to an adult fantasy series. We've got magic wands, a really unique fantasy world. I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm going to definitely be continuing this one. I'm actually really excited for the next one to come out. The Diviners by Libba Bray. Now, I started this one this year and really fell in love with it. I loved this. Apparently, this is a bit of an OG booktube series. It was really big a few years ago and it's just kind of died down in hype. I personally would love to see more people read this again and it gained back the kind of hype because I thought this was so fun. We're dealing with like 1920s New York folklore, Ouija boards, everything like that. I think it was fascinating, so much fun, and I definitely want to continue this. The only reason I haven't so far is it is really hard to find the physical copies of this, and I want the physical copies because I think it's a great series. But yeah, it's like kind of weirdly hard to find the physical copies. Okay, this next one was a big decision for me. This is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I remember going into this one being so skeptical, being like, I'm not going to enjoy this. This isn't my kind of book. Sorry, I feel like the sun's kind of going down a tiny bit, so it's like lighting is changing. I'm not sure if that is any better at all, but yeah, in saying that, I did think that this was going to be more of a dark fantasy romance than just a romantasy. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, but I haven't really thought about this book since I read it. The only thing that's like intriguing me, I kind of did DNF this in my mind. I was like, I can't see myself continuing it. And I have heard that the second book's very much like a second book in a trilogy. The only thing that's like, oh, there's a possibility I'll continue it. It's on Kindle Unlimited and I see it at my library all the time. That's probably the only thing. So I don't know. My thought for that one is maybe on like a flight or something when I just kind of want to lose myself in like a non-serious magic world, that's when I'll continue it. But I don't know for now. All right, we are moving on to this stack here. So The Games Gods Play. Obviously when this came out, I feel like you all remember I was obsessed with it. I just love a Greek mythology inspired fantasy. Like I will eat that up. Since reading it, I think I gave it like a pretty high rating when I read it. I have like kind of thought back to it and I was like, oh, there were quite a few plot holes in this. I purely loved it for the vibe. Like I loved the vibe of the characters. I liked the vibe of the world, everything like that. I just love a Greek mythology. Like I'm a sucker for a Greek mythology. So if it's a kind of like okay written, fun fantasy, I'm going to be enjoying it. Since I read it though, I feel like my obsession lasted like a month or two. And then I picked up other books and I started getting into a lot more like high political fantasy. Now I'm obsessed with that. And I feel like my obsession for this kind of romantasy has like died down a little bit. So I haven't actually picked up the second book into this series. I do want to, but I haven't seen that many reviews on it. Like, is it a really great continuation? I'm not sure. I do think there was a lot of open ends towards the end of this, and I'm curious to see where that goes. Obviously, like the whole trial aspect is kind of over as well. So I'm curious to see how it like extends from that. But yeah, if you've read it, please let me know. Starside by Alex Astor. Now, I read this one recently and honestly is probably the best romantasy I've read recently. As I said, I just haven't been like as drawn to romances and I just haven't been enjoying them as much, but this was like so much fun. It is basically set in a world where there are two different sides. So we have the kind of richer side, which is Starside, and then the side where people like fight for scraps of magic, which is Stormside. And our protagonist is venturing across that gap and competing in this competition to basically take revenge on the gods in this world. We know Alex Astor loves a trials situation, and honestly, she does it really well. I just had the best time. I just thought this was a really fun book, and yes, I will be continuing this series because honestly, I was just very like addicted. There was also just so many magical elements to it, like so many different magical people, so many different magical beings. I will say at times it was a little bit overwhelming. I was like, well, okay, this is a lot of different magical people I'm trying to keep track of right now, but as a whole, it was a vibe. Definitely moments where I was kind of like very separated from it, and it's like a 4.25 star overall. So like, you know, not the highest rating in the world, but still a pretty good rating. I am currently actually doing a reread for When the Moon Hatched attached by Sarah A. Parker because of course Ballad of Fallen Dragons comes out really soon. I actually got it sent to me in the mail, which is absolutely crazy. And I was so tempted, guys. I was so tempted to just start it right then and there, disregard my entire TBR. I had been wanting to do a reread of this so badly before I read the next one, because I read this before it even was traditionally published. So there was a lot that I didn't remember very well and wanted to be reminded of before I went into it. And I truly don't want my experience of A Ballad of Fallen Dragons to be hindered at all by me forgetting details, like by my own fault, because I feel like that's what happened with Fourth Wing and stuff. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I could have because I truly just forgot what happened, like the key little details that happened in Fourth Wing for Iron Flame, and therefore Iron Flame was quite boring for me. I don't want that to happen in Ballad of Falling Dragons, so I've been rereading it. I'm getting close to finished, and yeah, I will definitely be continuing this series. Speaking of Sarah A. Parker, To Bleed a Crystal Blue. Now, I read this and surprisingly did not enjoy it at all. Like, I love Sarah A. Parker, don't get me wrong, but this was just so not my cup of tea. There were so many elements that I didn't like about it. However, I was all ready to DNF this series. I was like, don't have a lot of hope for this. And then a bunch of you commented and was like, no, Freya, continue it. It gets so much better. I'm confused. I don't know how we can redeem ourselves after that one, to be completely honest, but apparently it gets really good. I don't know. Do I trust it? I'm not sure. The next one is The Jazzed Air by Sarah Hashman. I read this years ago, actually. Like, I want to say 3 years ago, maybe at this point. And I remember really, really enjoying it. It is basically an Egyptian-inspired fantasy romance. But then the second book hadn't come out yet. And the second book only came out at the end of last year, I think. I just still haven't gotten to the second book, to be completely honest. Definitely need a refresher of The Jazzed Air. I want to get a full refresher of the plot because I remember, again, the kind of main plot as a whole, but I don't remember the little details. So I don't feel like I need a reread for this one just because it wasn't as intense as When the Moon Hatched or anything like that. But I do think it'll be very useful for me to just have a summary of everything that happened, just a refresher in case there were some key little things I missed going into the next one. Heard incredible things about the next one in this series. To be honest, I was really intrigued with the whole political and magical system in this being based off Egyptian mythology and how that was integrated into the political system. I thought was fascinating. I actually also enjoyed the romance because it was a slow burn romance. You don't always get. It's always marketed as a slow burn romance, but it doesn't always end up as a slow burn romance. So I'm excited about that one. Swordcatcher is another case of I am up to date, finally, with everything that is currently out. I read Ragpicker recently and was truly blown away by it. I don't think I expected it to be as good as it was. If you've read Swordcatcher, the first book was very much setting up the world, setting up the politics, and getting a baseline and understanding of all our characters and everything like that. But it was nothing amazing. Compared to how addictive and impressive the Shadowhunters universe was, and this is an entirely separate universe, I was kind of I was expecting a little bit more. The Ragpicker King fully blew me away. I don't know if I read it expecting a lot of hype. I think because I went in with just I just need to tick this off and get up to date with this series, and then was just wait, why am I enjoying this so ridiculously much? And I fell in love with our characters in that one. So please read this for the second book. This one might be a little bit slow. It's still really interesting and still a great fantasy book. And I actually think Cassandra Clare is thriving in an adult setting. I'm not gonna lie. So this one is a definitely continue. Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. I actually enjoyed this one. I know that this one is in either you really love the ending or you really hate it. For me, I liked it. I thought it was a really fun plot twist. I didn't see it coming at all. I don't think you could have seen it coming. I think that was the whole point. It didn't really stick with me as much as I thought it would. However, I will be continuing the next one because it comes out really soon. And I'm just curious to see what happens after that ending, to be completely honest. Also, I am on reporting duty for Jamie because she doesn't want to continue this series. And I was like, don't worry, I'll continue it, tell you what happens, if it's any good, everything like that. There were elements I actually really liked of this. And I know that some people get bored during the journey segment of this because we are following our protagonist kind of on this big boat journey type situation. I know that some people found that really boring. Personally, that was my favorite part of the book. I really liked the whole journey. I love big journey with our characters, to be completely honest. So I'm going to continue this one. I feel like a lot of these are I'm going to continue, to be honest. This is just a update of every series I'm in the middle of at this point. Okay, this one is Immortal Dark by Tigist Germa. I feel like this one is 50-50 for me, and I will be continuing it because I do have the second book. And I actually really, really enjoyed the gothic vibes of this because it is such a gothic academic kind of book. It is a vampire dark academia, heavy on the dark, and it definitely took an approach to vampires that I've never seen in a fantasy book before. So I really liked that element of it. However, the ending was a little bit for me, and I also feel like I didn't didn't connect to any of our characters very much. So I read this before it even released. I was so lucky to get an arc for it. So it's been a long time since I read it, but I do remember like vastly the main things of what happened. So I think I'd be fine to continue on to the second one. It is autumn / going into winter now. So I feel like it's a good time to pick it up. So I probably should pick it up soon. If you've read the second one in this series though, let me know, because I haven't seen too much about it. To be honest, I haven't seen too much about this series as a whole. I think if you're like a Dark Academia fan, you'll really enjoy it. But there's also just a sense of like disconnect for me in this series. Diabound. I think I need to continue it purely because I feel FOMO. Is that a bad reason? Probably. And I can remember this one so well that I'm like, I think I need to continue it whilst I remember it so well. I actually think that this is going to be a really good one for me to continue on my trip that's like coming up. It's going to be like a 24-hour travel day, so I'm going to need a lot of good books. I kind of feel like this might be like the second one, Fury Bound, might be a good book to pick up on that situation, because again, fun romance you don't need to pay too much attention to. That's going to keep you entertained the entire time. But also, if you like zone out for a little bit or fall asleep, like it really doesn't matter that much. That's kind of what I look for on a vacation / flight read. I think that's what you want on a vacation read. The only reason I didn't love this as much as I expected to was because of the hype surrounding it, guys. If I had read this just on a whim, I probably would have enjoyed it more, but I had seen so many incredible raving reviews about it. And so I went in with like these really high expectations and they just weren't met because I guessed all the plot twist. It was kind of like Shield of Sparrows, like similar situation. There were elements that I really enjoyed, but I felt like we were just touching the edge of everything. I needed more depth to our world. The main protagonist, I didn't really feel anything for. Same with the main love interest. Those were my kind of things. I do think there is potential for the second one though. The Knave and the, no, that's the second one. The Knight and the Moth, and then The Knave and the Moon is coming out this year. Definitely will be continuing it. You guys know, I'm a Rachel Gillig fan. I love her books so much. She's the most atmospheric, beautiful writer, and I cannot wait to continue this series. And then finally, the Will of the Many series, the Hierarchy series by James Islington. This has truly like quickly become one of my favorite series ever. And the next book isn't coming out until 2027, I don't think, but I will easily be continuing this. This truly just blew me away and put a whole new level to high fantasy for me. Yeah, it's pretty easy to say I'll be reading this series when it finally gets more release. I also haven't included series like ACOTAR. Obviously, I'll be continuing that when that gets more released. Boys of Tommen, obviously going to be continuing that. All my kind of true love series, if they get more books in them, of course, I'll be reading them. I think the only one I haven't talked about is Vancouver Storm, which is just an ice hockey romance. This is one that like, I'm not actively like trying to finish this series. It's just if I need a romance, I pick up a book in this series. It's not too like serious. Oh, Kindred's Curse Saga, of course, I'll be continuing that when it finally comes out. But I think that is everything. When I put like my series I'm in the middle of, like continuing the 20 series or something, I always actively count the series that I actually have books to finish in, by the way. I don't count the ones that like I'm up to date with. So yeah. Because it might seem like there's so many more series there than 20 as to like what I usually name my videos as, but I'm counting the ones that I actually can physically continue at the moment. But yeah, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know some of these releases you're excited for, because I know this is just a year of crazy series releases. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next one.